Yep, let's go. So we are live now, I think. Welcome everybody for this cool live. We have leading the pack at the moment, Nolan Beddiaf in the top left corner on my screen, followed by Felix Rijhnen. It looks a little bit like the finish of Berlin Marathon. Little behind, we have Bart swings, and on the side, maybe in another pack, Yann Guyader and me. Joey Montia was supposed to come also, but he mistake a little bit the schedule with the jet lag, so with the time difference. So I will do another one later with him at midnight from our time in Paris time, and we will start with this group of champion. We talk about different topics. We will watch also a few videos and a few photos from the cool moment of your career, guys. Let's start with Yann. Yann, can you tell us a little bit from which year to which year was your main career or main during World Championship? When did you start to do World Championship?
I started in 2005 up until 2008. Then I dropped the national team. I was only focusing on marathons, and then I did one more time World Championship in 2011.
Okay. And during all this time, you were also skating in different teams. I saw a picture of you with power slide, with aero skate, with rollerblade, right?
Yes. Yeah, rollerblade I was not really in the team. I was actually working at the company headquarters. But I started with Mariani 3 years, and then I did 6 years with power slide. And then I switched to EO skate, and I think I did 3 or 4 years with EO skate. And then I retired in 2014.
Okay. And you have been in the same team with Bart for a while also?
With Bart, never. I think we actually switched position. We swapped. He actually took my position.
So it was like the transition. When you stop, it's Bart who arrived. And so that was the change, right?
I think as soon as he got better than me, I got fired and he took my place. I think it was pretty much like that.
Yeah, I had this. I know this. I had this situation also like after Salomon also with power slide. And with Felix, did you have some years in the same team with Felix?
Yeah, I think at least 2. I think 2011 and 2010, and maybe even 2009. So maybe 3.
Okay, cool. So it's nice. And so Bart, your first World Championship in senior, which was it? Which year?
2009, China.
Oh, yes. 2009. Okay. So it's already quite it's like almost 5 years difference with Yann. It's quite much to feel.
Yeah. I think my first senior was the first year that Yann was not participating. I think in the World Championships. Yes.
Okay, good, because I skate with you a little bit. I think we did 1 or 2 races in Netherlands together, but you were like junior and I was like almost master.
Yeah.
And Yann, you arrived senior at World Championship 2005. That was your first, and that was my last World Championship. Felix, what was your first World Championship in senior?
First one in junior was 2006, Anyang, Korea. Okay. And senior then 2 years later, 2008 in Gijón, Spain.
Okay, good. And you, Nolan, what was your first World Championship senior?
It was in 2012, maybe. Okay. It was in Italy, 2012.
Okay, cool. So, so not really all from the same years, but quite similar. Nolan, you've been World Champion Marathon. Felix also. Bart also. Yann, you've been World Champion Marathon.
We are the 2 losers on that race.
My God. And you know, I don't know. Can you tell us, Yann, about this? Like for me, one of the weak point of my career is I never won this race. I could never won the marathon at the World Championship.
Yeah, it's the same for me. It was quite a big frustration. But first I had Joey, which was not that easy to beat at the time. And then probably the year I was the best in 2012 for the marathon. The selection system was a bit different in France, so I didn't get a go. But yes, it's a frustration because I believe that also racing the year after with the jersey, I mean, Felix, Nolan and Bart can tell us, but I think that racing with the jersey must be something special, and we never got the chance to do it. So yeah, I mean, they're going to tell us how it feels, but I assume it feels great.
Yeah, we know like Felix, in Erde, when you got world champion, I mean, your feeling was amazing.
Yeah, I mean, probably the strongest emotions you can get as an inline speed skater athlete. And as Yann just said, especially for me as a German guy standing at the start line of the Berlin Marathon in the world champion jersey, yeah, that really meant a lot to me and was a real honor. And yeah, I wouldn't want to miss it. And definitely a highlight of my career for sure.
Yeah, I show a little bit at the same time. I have the video, I think, of, I will try to find the video to show you this a little later, and we can talk about it. Nolan, tell us this feeling like. How was it for you when you won?
Yeah, the feeling different between China and Barcelona, because the people around was not the same. But when you win the marathon, you know that you will race in all the big city after the year after, and that it's look good and you are happy with this. Because yeah, I imagine racing France with the Rainbow J there, or Germany, and think for Felix is the same when you race Berlin with the jersey. That makes it special for sure.
Yeah, it's. I mean, Yann and me probably we feel this.
We will never know unless we try it with Masters, but it's, I believe it's not the same.
In Masters, we have to beat Luca Presti, and
it's not easy.
Not so easy. Can you tell, like, I'm the oldest from all of us, and last week we had a similar meeting with Botero, Rosero, and Chad, and Arno, and so on. When you were younger, which was the guy who inspired you to become at this level, or to motivate you to get like a strong skater?
Who does start?
Well, you can go. No, it's open.
Because I'm the oldest remaining. For me, it was clearly Luca Presti, because I think we were pretty similar. We were short, we were rather skinny, and it was really inspiring because he was a corner guy, and we were that kind of old style skaters, really good at cornering, but not that really strong on the straight lines. And as we got deeper into the Vesmaco tracks and dual density wheels, it was not really our business anymore. But when it was smaller tracks, bank corners, and mono density wheels, it was another story. So he was the most inspiring guy for me.
Yeah. What about you, Bart? Which was the guy you were looking when you were younger?
I think for me, that's I would say my coach. When I was younger, he was not my coach yet, Jelle. He was always racing himself, and he was a strong skater. Maybe not a world champion at that time, but he got really good results at world championships, top fives. But he was also a really smart skater. The way he skated in the pack, he moved really easy in the pack, and also he was really smart in taking points, doing skating and elimination, and especially he learned me even when I was already a kid, and when he was still racing, how to move in the pack, how to go for points, what do you have to watch for. And I think, yeah, that was for me very inspiring and very helpful already when I was like 10 or 12 years old.
And Felix, what about you?
I think for me, there were different people at different times of my skating career or skating journey. So when I was younger, or when I was a kid, it were just the big guys from my local club, which I admired, and they were maybe not the best skaters in the world, but they got to race in a national team jersey, and I saw them winning local races, and so they were like my childhood heroes. And then when I got older, it were definitely guys like Chet and also Joey. I still remember, like, on every time I went to training and I got home from training, my dad would drive me, and I always had like the newest edition of the Skate In magazine in there. And I remember like watching at the pictures from Joey and Brittany Bowe, and they were smashing like the junior world championships and winning like, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 golds. And that was a real big inspiration for myself. And then, yeah, obviously later also you, Pascal, and also Yann, getting to skate with you guys in the same team. I could learn a lot from you, and you showed me quite some nice little tricks, and that definitely helped me later on in my career. So yeah, I cannot name like one big role model, but there were always some important people at different times which inspired me, and yeah.
Yeah, and you, Nolan, how about you?
Yeah, for me it was Yann because I love too much his style of skating. He was small and he was skating pretty good. And for example, the video when he do on the treadmill with Mariani skates, I watched this video so much time because I was like his movement and how he play. And yeah, for me, when I was young, it was Yann. But after, when I was with him, it was not the same things. I was more for learning a lot from him, and not like the people who are like an idol, more to learn. And before it was an idol, but now after it was to learn, and I learned a lot for sure.
And now he can teach me how to go fast. And
yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I liked a lot, like especially like if you see, I guess you can see this picture at the same time. It's one of the typical picture. Like Yann, your technique was super clean. I mean, it was like you say, you get inspired by Luca Presti, but I mean, you went to the next level. Luca was amazing, but you were to the next level about the technique. I think you could go in some details in the technique. And can you tell us a little bit what was like the main point that make your technique so good?
But first, it was the lack of power, because most of the other guys were more powerful. And the second is that I was probably one of the few guys not doing any weightlifting. I was never going to the gym. So the only way was to have something special and something clean. So probably my technique was not the best overall, but it was the best for my body. So it was pretty much working to perfection, and it was really efficient, especially in some tricky conditions like tricky corners or yeah. I was really happy when the tracks were not made of long straights and stuff. So and also I was skating a lot indoor, and I was spending a lot of time at my own track. I was never skating on the road. Actually, I was never really training on the road. So that's probably the key of the technique, I believe.
And I find a picture like here, you're with Joey next to you.
I can remember that day. I think that was the most painful day for Joey. It was probably the last year. It was really competitive, and for both of us, it was a nightmare because we didn't get any medal after that race. And I think at the last lap, I think Joey was first and I was second, and I was desperate to win a race, and so I did quite a big mistake. I grabbed him like really dirty, and that was probably the only time I did that. And I think either Bart or Fabio won the race.
It was Fabio, yeah. I got second.
Yeah, I think Joey should have won that race easy. I might have get second or third. I don't know, but I think yeah, he should have won. And I was a bit sorry because I knew it was the end for both of us. We were reaching the end of our career, and he was probably the best that day.
Yeah, he's still active. I mean, he's also a lot on the ice now, competing a lot with Bart, especially. I really enjoy to watch all those mass start and those tactics between you two. It's always like, I like the game that you have to play. I can see you put some pressure. We're gonna go after the breakaway in the last few laps. It's nice to see. Like, did you all of you? Did you had some race where you were all together, like in a point race or elimination race?
All the four of us now?
All the four of you, yeah.
No, maybe in a marathon, but only a marathon, I think.
Yeah, I think also marathons, yeah.
Okay.
Or maybe a point in Gross-Guéraud or something like that.
Yeah,
maybe one time we was in Gross-Guéraud, all of us.
Yeah. Or maybe a European Championship somewhere.
Not for
I
me.
don't think so.
No,
I was already done.
No, because I was not in the selection when I was young senior.
Yeah. Okay.
it was more tough for Nolan sometimes to get some selection a little more irregular. But
it's a little bit harder in France.
yeah, sometimes. And so you have been, all of you, except Yann and me, world champion in marathon, racing the journey, let's say the season on the skin suit. Berlin compared to a world championship. If you had to choose, Nolan, what would you take? Would you take a world championship victory or Berlin victory? Because
It's a very difficult choice, but I think I would say I have still some Berlin in front of me. Maybe I can win it, but if I can, I don't want to choose. But yeah, I don't know. It's different. The world champ, I have it. I don't know how is Berlin, but I don't know. It's pretty hard question.
yeah, and I had this question already, I think, with Felix. I don't remember, maybe on a video I did on YouTube, and yeah, it's a tough question. We had Shad last week. Shad was, I think, the most competitive guy I have ever seen. Like, his mentality is like, he's super competitive. And I'm looking at Netflix at the moment. There is something about Michael Jordan, and I really find the kind of same spirit on it. Like, they're super competitive, and probably much more than all of us here. Do you think? Are you aware of how competitive Shad was compared to you guys?
I'm not, no, because yeah, I've never really raced him, so I've heard stories, of course, and yeah, if you win 50 gold medals, then of course you have to be very competitive. And the only thing I know is also athletes like Sven Kramer, that he really saw like what kind of fighter Chet was, and I remember some interview from Sven that he also says that yeah, that Chet was something special, and that he had really the fighter and probably that competitive spirit in him that made him so special to race.
Yeah, I think that was really his strong point.
Yeah.
Felix, what do you think is your strong point? What makes you so good?
Wow, it's hard. I think I'm probably not the most talented skater if it's about technique and stuff, but I think I'm quite a hard worker, and that's probably also my strongest point. That if I have a goal in mind, that yeah, I can work for it every day quite hard, and won't accept any defeat until I reach my goal. The whole time I'm having a story in my head, and that's actually one about Yann. And I think it must have been, I wasn't there, obviously, must have been the European Championship 2004 or something. I think it was in Casano d'Adda in Italy, where there was like a super tricky track. And like some of the German guys, they told me, like during training days, Yann was like testing the track and testing some wheels and stuff. And apparently the track was super shitty and super slippery. And Yann would like go for a flying lap, crash, stand up again, like dust himself up, put some new wheels on or change something, go again, crash again, dust himself up. And this happened like 2 or 3 times, I think, until he hurt his shoulder or something. and when I heard that story, I was like, wow, that guy is amazing. And to have so much fighting spirit in yourself and wanting to master the track so much that you just don't accept any defeat. And I mean, Yann can tell us if the story is true, but at least that's what I heard, and it really impressed me back then.
It is. I mean, none of you guys got the chance to race there, but it was probably the only track on earth that was even slippery on the straight lines. Maybe last year in Barcelona was very much. So, but the only difference is that at the time the wheels were pretty shitty compared to now. Yeah. The grip was really bad. I mean, there was no mechanical grip because the wheel would not bend on the corners, and it was it was not an easy task. But yeah, that's a true story. But I thought you would speak about another story because
I
was not working, and I ended up fighting with the I can't remember her name. The judge. She was really nice. What was her name?
Barbara.
Barbara.
Yes.
Yeah.
Rest in peace. But she disqualified me because with the German guys in the relay, somehow we ended up fighting together, and she disqualified the French team. And I can remember I throw my my helmets on her, and I would be disqualified for the remaining races on the track. So that was a good story as well.
Yeah, that's the story that I remember from Kazano Dada, because I was there also watching.
Okay.
My brother was there to race, so yeah, I was actually expecting the same story.
I like better the first one.
Yeah,
What
that's
made you
true.
so strong, Yann? What was your main quality? What made you so strong? Like,
I think Felix just said it. I was really obstinated. I just wanted to master the tracks and stuff. So I would repeat, and repeat. And yeah, that was probably my my main strength.
yeah. And Bart, why make you so special? You think it's like you have like superpower, or
No,
how
I
you-
don't think I have superpower. I think when I was young, I always had to work hard because I was not the biggest guy or not the strongest guy out there. So I had to work hard to get my position in the peloton, and also to be stronger than the rest, and to make a difference on that point. And I think that's what made me so strong later in my career, that I learned to skate very efficient and that's my strength. I think I'm pretty efficient on skates, and physically I think I'm pretty strong. So those two things make me strong, and that's, for example, one of the reasons I can go for the record in Berlin. And that's I think my strength.
Yeah, it's good analysis. I'm quite agree with it, of course. Nolan, what makes you strong? You think, if you had one point that bring you this?
Yeah, for me, when I was young, I was a bit not lazy, but I want to do the less and have the biggest part of the cake. I was always playing. I was trying to be smarter than the other people, to do the right move at the right moment, to do to keep some power for the hands. And even if I don't train too much, I try to be the more smart and more efficient with my more in my race, not my physical, but to make the right race, the best race that I can, and to keep power to the end. And I think all these things follow me now, and they make me different in a pack or something like that, even if you can work. And also to I think the second point is I never go away. When even there was it was I was not good. I was waiting a lot of time before I have had a race from to be a leader in the race, in the European, in the World Champ. I wait too much time, and I always thinking I can do it, and I never I don't know. My English is not too good. Miss the race to speak English with you guys. And yes,
I really like the way like you can move in the pack. I mean, that make you like the elimination guide. When you move in the pack, it's super nice. It's almost like you're playing a game more than you're racing.
That's why I think, because when I was young, I like to play all the game I can play with everybody, and if it's fun, I like it, and I try to make it fun as more as I can, even if I train alone and it's not fun. I try to find this way because they make me better, I think.
Okay. It's the new version of Zangarini for the old guys.
That's true. Okay, guys, and do you think if you look at the younger generation, the coming skater, do you already see one guy or a sprinter, long distance guy, or some girls that are like the future of the sport, like you guys?
I'm training with a pretty strong guy, I think. Jason is first year senior now. It's pretty sad for him that he cannot race this year yet. Hopefully he can do some races in the upcoming years, in the upcoming months. But yeah, he showed that he was very strong in junior. He showed already that he already has a medal at the World Championships for senior. So that's pretty special. And I think he could be the next guy, but of course he still has to grow still a lot.
It's his birthday today, actually.
Yeah.
Hmm?
Yeah. So
It's
yeah,
his
Yeah.
birthday.
is like
Yeah, it's his birthday, so yeah, for sure. So I think he might be one of them, but it's always hard to predict for sure.
yeah, it always takes time to know.
Yeah, there's still a big difference in senior and junior, I think. So, but what I see from him in training is already pretty impressive. He has a speed, and he has the motor, so he's strong. And I think those two things are very valuable in skating. If you are strong and you are fast, that's what you need. You have many guys who are fast but not the strongest, or the opposite, who are strong but not fast, and then it's just hard to win a race. And if you have both, it's always an advantage. I think that's why, yeah, Yann has always been a very hard contender for me, because he was fast and he was strong. And yeah, that's I've noticed that many times in the races.
Yeah, Yann is super fast, even in the straight line at the end of the marathon. I mean, you had some special things you can tell us now. You don't race anymore, Yann. Tell us a little bit the little trick you were doing at the end of the marathon. I mean, besides using your hand, because that's not what makes you win. You know, I had quite some experience in marathon, but I remember you beat me in Engadin one time by leading the sprint. You were in front of me. I'm a sprinter. I was in your draft, and you beat me anyway. What was the special thing you were doing there?
Really being honest, I have no idea. I think it was just instinct. But as you said, probably maybe the efficiency. And the good thing is that whether I was fresh or dead, my top speed was pretty much the same. I was not really faster being fresh, and I was not really slower being dead. So maybe that's the key thing, because as you go deeper into the race, then it gets harder, especially with those big wheels. I mean, the momentum now is a lot higher than what it was maybe 10 or 15 years ago. And as Bart says, I believe that the guys racing now have bigger engines than what we had back in the days. And so I think that the key point is to be fast at the end of the race, not really being the fastest, but to be fast at the end of the race. Yeah. And I think I was fast enough to win a few races.
I like the point you say. You say even if you are tired, you have to go fast, and that means all of us, we have this quality, and that makes us a bit special in the sport. And when we are able to go fast when we are tired, in my opinion, it's like we go fast because we can keep the technique. Do you kind of agree with this?
Yeah, that's what I was. If I would say what was special about Yann when he's sprinting, he was still sitting very low at the end of the race. And it's the same with Joey. If you see him sprinting at the end of a marathon, he keeps sitting low. Is the way he skates, the way he finishes his pushes is still like you want to finish your push and how you want to sprint at the end, and that's what makes you fast at the end. And but you also need the muscles and the physical part of it to keep doing it, because it's easy to say, but when you skated a marathon and want to sit as low as Joey and Yann are sitting here, it's not easy. You can see it with the guys behind them.
Yeah, the Korean guy with the blue suit, he has a quite nice technique.
Maybe tired a bit. And Nolan is also there in this picture.
He's laughing, by the way.
I think it was my only one race with, or maybe it was my first race with Joey, and it was, it's my mind for all the time, for sure. It was too hard. I was discovered like a monster because we try so many times with the team to go away, to do a lot of attack, to try something, and Yann say one time, hey, don't stop. Because I was young, I was trying a lot of time because it was the game for me. And he said, stop, come with me and wait the sprint. Oh yeah, for sure. You're sure? And I want to go because for me it was the playing marathon. But yeah, after I seen the sprint, it was not possible. For me, when you speak about Yann, it was in the end of the marathon of the race. He was always looking relaxed when he skates. They keep his good technique, but he was looking slow and easy and like very smooth. And yeah, this technique don't change. But I think for the skate, look like relaxed. Very relaxing.
There is one guy that is not here and will never be live because he doesn't speak English, but we should speak about Sajorado because I think Sajorado was a mix of all these qualities. I mean, only Pascal and myself raced against him, but he was that fast guy. I mean, he would lead the last K. He was even faster than Joey. And he never won the marathon at World Championship, even though he won that many marathons. But that guy was really mastering the technique. I mean, he was super Pascal knows it even better than me, but
to rebound a little bit on what you say about, I remember from you when I skate behind you in the marathon in Engadin, you had this special quality to bring the acceleration in 2 times. Like you go to your speed, you make believe the other you're at your maximum speed, and the moment I remember, I think I jumped to the right to pass you, and I feel okay, I can pass him. And then poof, you bring an extra 1 or 2 kilometers, it surprised me, and I say.
It's the nose on my back.
It's like something like boom, like I take the wind directly, and I like those little tricks. I mean, and
don't try it now; it wouldn't work. It wouldn't work.
Oh, it's sometimes I know the feeling when Pascal tells it. I've done it before also in races, but it only works if you can do it. Because the sprints that I lose is at the moment you cannot do it anymore. Then at that point you don't have the extra acceleration, and I know the feeling, but it's not always working. You can try, but
to do that, huh?
yeah.
But you know, and to speaking about these little details, let's go a little bit on some hard point a bit, because go back to the World Championship and how the sprint was managed between you, Bart, and Nolan coming. Like it's like you were too early in front and Nolan is coming, passing. And then in Berlin, a few weeks later, it's like we have kind of the same tactic but in reverse position.
Yeah.
Like, let me know something about this guy. How do you play the game?
Oh, for me, it's two total different races. I think, I misjudged a little bit the part of the downhill in Barcelona. It's not the first time that I start the sprint leading, and I've won it a few times already when I was leading the sprint. But with going down in the downhill, I reached my top speed, and usually when somebody else is coming, I can still accelerate, or I go from 100% to 110 or 120. But when you're going downhill, it's harder, and it's hard to make extra speed, even more speed, and especially if somebody like Nolan is, I felt it right away. He didn't just came next to me. He was coming next to me with a higher speed, and he just was faster there.
But you could feel like before the sprint, like you're 50 meters from the line, you think you win, or you think
no? Then I felt it already that he was coming faster, and of course it's hard with 5 French guys in the back sitting behind you, and I was almost doing their lead out, so it was not easy, especially also downhill. I think it was not in my not for me, but I have to give him credits also. He came really fast next to me, and from the moment I saw him, I know, okay, then, because I remember like 2 or 3 seconds before he came, that's the moment I went full. And usually I wait until I see somebody coming. And now, I had to go. And I saw the line coming closer, and then I thought, okay, boom, now I go. And he waited that 2-3 seconds long enough to then come next to me, and I didn't have the extra punch anymore, and he passed me properly.
It's just, for me, it's crazy. Like also many little details that will make a difference at that level. And in Berlin, you had a good revenge, I would say, like with you and Felix, good tactic in the sprint.
In Berlin, I knew I was not feeling good. I didn't have the grip on the wet surface. So I thought I just gonna do the lead out for Felix. We felt in the race already. Felix was better than me, and I just thought 1K to go. I go in the lead. I go as fast as possible, and we see who passes me. And if Felix can sit behind the guys, he can still pass them. And there I did the same. Nolan came next to me with 400 meters to go, I think. and I just gave everything. And for 50 meters, it was a sprint between me and Nolan, but it was like 300 meters to go, and then Felix took over. That was a pretty good tactic, I think.
Yeah, it's really, for me, it's amazing. You guys race. I love it. I feel all the little details you're doing in the race, kind of some kind of old memory coming back, and it's always a pleasure for me to watch this. I propose you to make a little game to finish kind of this video, or maybe we will finish with some question of people on the live. Let's say we want to create the hardest 1,000-meter final in the world of all days. We have to pick up 8 names of skater. Who should be the 8th skater who would be in the magic final for 1,000-meter in all times?
Probably Chet, because he has the most goals, and then Joey,
for sure.
second to most.
Yeah.
I think maybe Guyader for the things that he can do, and he don't know what he can do, something like that, some magical things he can do.
Yeah, that's true.
Felix, some guys you would put in this final?
Wow, it's a super tough question. I would like to see Yann in there as well, I guess. Would be a good one. I remember still, I think him and Alexis did the 1K in Gijón.
Yes.
Yeah, Alexis would be for sure a 1,000-meter finalist.
I would put Sagerato for sure.
Yeah.
And Botero, because none of you guys saw him racing back in the late 90s. But
okay, I bring some Bart. For me, I would put Bart in this final also. So far, let's say we have Mantia, Chad, Alexis Quentin, and Bart. Maybe
we
Guyader.
can put. I got one for, but only Pascal will understand. I would put Martin Escobar from Pamplune.
From Pamplune, maybe. I think I would put Tony Muse also. You don't know so much about him, but I think he was those kind of guy that could win 1,000-meter at this level too. And Sam Fratello.
Yeah.
When Yann, you say Sagerato, for me, I put Sam Fratello even to the next level. He was before Sagerato. Sam Fratello was the guy who was the fastest guy I've ever seen in a straight line. He was in the live last week, and every time I had this name, I remember that even in the draft, he could drop me in straight line, like super amazing. So I would put Sam Fratello in this final, and Tony Muse to go back in my years a bit. And so we need still.
What about birthday boy Peter Michael?
Yeah.
I think we can put Pascal as well. I mean, you won that many sprints.
You know, I won only one time. I won only one time the 1,000-meter at the World Championship. So I was more 500, but in a historic final, I think I was not fast enough to be in the top 8. Like I could win one, but it's not enough to be with names like Shad or Alexis or Joey, I would say, or Bart. But so that's why for me and Guyader, I'm not sure we would be in this top 8 world final. And so not so easy. I put some Fratello or Tony Muse way in front of me, or Munoz, I don't know, because we need some South American guys in it.
Yeah, for sure. I was also thinking about the Colombian.
What about Kozil? Kozil is fast and he lasts long also.
Yeah. But I think he never won the 1,000, so then it's pretty hard. He won a lot of 300s.
I think he won
and 500s.
didn't he won in Yosu? I think he won in Yosu. I know it was
No.
Scott?
It was Scott. Yeah. Scott won in Yosu.
Oh,
the best between Munoz and Kozil. Which one?
Yeah.
Kozil.
Yeah.
I think they are good, but they are also very good, the Colombian guys, when they are 2 in the final. They make so much win like this. When they are alone, I don't know how is it. Because they don't happen too much time when there are only 1 Colombian in the final.
Yeah, that's true.
I think.
They play the game good when they're together.
Yeah, they are a good team.
That's true.
Same with Shifu and
Nelson
Jorge. Yeah, and Jorge when they were racing together.
2006. Yeah, but Sifu was pretty dirty that one.
Yeah.
Yes. Some names we hear from almost when I was at the end of my career. They skate for amateur for a few years also.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was good. I think maybe it was the year you were arriving the team almost, Felix, no?
I was with them in the Marty team. I was
Yeah.
with them in the Marty team, yeah.
And Felix, we were in another team together, I think, in those years, same years, no?
Outside Fusion.
Yeah, Power-Slide Fusion, yeah. That was your first year in the team, actually?
Yeah, I mean, I was before in the German power slide team, so basically like one grade below, and yeah, then for 2 years in power slide fusion, and yeah, it was also nice team with some Colombians in there, obviously with you as a experienced guy in there, myself, Quentin Tass, and yeah, I learned a lot in those years, so it was a really good time.
And how do you guys see the future of the teams? Now we have quite some good teams. We have Aeroskate, we have Powerslide, Rollerblade is there, and few more. So it's cool. The season is a bit tricky this year, but before I was thinking the future of marathon of the teams was only on marathon. But now you have also a lot of track racing. How do you feel about this?
Sometimes I'm a little bit sad that some teams are not always racing in the marathons. For example, Bart is a really strong team, and they show it in the track. And sometimes it would be fun, I think, if they also were more at the marathons. Some years they are, some years they're not. And I still think like the advantage of having a team is bigger in the marathons, or you can do more with your team. You can have really a team tactic. You can attack. You have multiple leaders compared to track racing. It's then usually you go for one leader, and it's hard to change during a race, during a 10K from leader. And also teams of 5 in track races is it's different than 5 guys in a marathon skating together as a team. So I still prefer to race as teams in marathons, I think.
Yeah, for me, every time I see the marathon at the World Championship, like in Erde or like in Barcelona, it's like the dream race. It's the most impressive sport in the world. It's like crazy. I don't know. Can you see you can see on the screen the video at the time, and you look at this pack. I mean, with the junior and the senior together, it's like
but it also like junior senior together and or like now how it was in Barcelona, it makes it also first really easy to skate in the peloton, and second really hard to break away. So I think if they want to keep the same setup, they have to make the course more selective. I don't know, do uphills in the course, or because if you have a race like Barcelona, it's actually pretty. Yeah, I think it could be more interesting if you do only seniors and like do more only 4 or 5 skaters from each country, because otherwise you just have always one big peloton. We're skating and we do a sprint, and that's kind of it.
I think the limitation of people can be the solution, because for example,
I think so too.
For you the last 2 years to have Jason with you in Belgium team, that can be better maybe than over seniors. I think to do a limitation with maybe 6 or 7 people, not more, they can be good, because when you see the Colombian teams, they can have maybe 12 or 18 people. They don't have make sense, I think.
No. And also it's even worse in the girls, I think, because then they skate with 10 girls in the lead, and it's impossible to do breakaways.
It's more worse for the girl, I think.
Yeah.
So what kind of difficulty you mean? Like, you mean just if we had more uphill would be better?
Yeah, I think so. It made the course more selective. So the race is harder. I think they did it already quite good in Almere, because every time we had the uphill, the pack was in small parts, and I saw people were suffering there. But it can be even more, and then you can make really hard races, and then I think that's what people like to see, selective races, and to see breakaways and team tactics, and not just one big pack who's going to the finish and sprints.
Yeah, and you know, in my years, the marathon was 84 kilometers.
Oh, I would love that.
Would you like to go back on those distances like this?
Why not?
Challenge, definitely. Double marathon, bring it back.
And for me, that was really good to have those 84 kilometers, because also, the first hour of the race, we speak in the pack, you discuss from the championship. It's like we go fast, but it's more like a cycling pack. We speak with the other and we have a bit of fun. And then after 1 hour, I'll say, okay, let's make the race now. And we're going faster. It's a different feeling, and it's nice also for some, let's say, less strong skater, because they can enjoy the race little more. When it's a 42K, sometimes it's just hammer from the start. And like if we look the last 4-5 years, when Nolan, Bart, or Felix, when you just hammer it, you can almost go 1 hour full speed, no?
Almost. I know that.
I think sorry. I think it's really difficult to find a perfect solution, because on the one side we want to have a big pack and we want to make our sport look good. And if you look at the crowd in Barcelona, that was impressive.
Yeah,
I mean,
was amazing.
with all the masters being there, I love that. But then I fully agree. The racing with a pack from 200 senior men or men in general, juniors and seniors together, isn't the most fun and enjoyable. No. You can try to break away, but on a flat course like Barcelona, the chances are really, really small. Yeah. And but then on the other hand, it also reminded me to the good old days in the marathons, when Pascal and Yann were still racing. The World Cup was huge. The Swiss Inline Cup was there. There were 10, 12, 15 teams with 8 guys. And it was a bit a similar feeling. So I don't know what the right way is to go. I don't know the perfect solution, but maybe, as Bart said, make the course a bit tougher, maybe make the distance a bit longer. Maybe that could be the right way to find a balance between a mass participation event, but at the same time, a high quality sport.
I think in cycling, they don't really have a fixed distance for the race. It depends. If the course is hard, it's a shorter distance a bit, and if the course is easier, it's a longer distance. So what if we had a 70K if it was a flat race, and a 40K if it was a more difficult race?
That sounds cool.
Okay.
So we will make an email to Francesco maybe. Later.
Yeah, but I think it's important to don't have a boring race, even if you make it in the TV. If it's 80 kilometers and nothing happened during the first hour, it's too boring. All the people will leave the live or everything like this. Yeah, they will have only the people who like our sport to see the final because they want to see the result. That make it harder, but that's a good question to have in mind to make it more cool for us and for the younger guys who will continue after us.
I think you don't need to make it necessarily crazy hard to make it interesting. I would just take one example. I mean, all of us raced in Djon. It's not the hilliest track in the world, but it's really tough. So it's flat enough for those that are not really strong physically, but it's tough enough to make it really hard. So at the end of the race, I mean, you rarely end up with a pack of 40 skaters. Most of the time, it's a pack of 10 guys, and there's a lot of breakaways. So I think that kind of courses would be the perfect fit. And also I would reach that 60K distance, because 40 is still easy. It's around an hour. If you reach the 60K barrier, you're around 1 hour and a half. And then it's another story. So make it a little bit longer, make it a little bit tougher. And I believe that the difference between what we have now and what we would have with that kind of races would be quite huge.
I think so. That race on the screen now?
Yeah, I remember that race. It was a pretty special one for me.
Yeah, you got second, I think.
Yeah, it was a race with a lot of emotions. So I remember Shane was, of course, our leader, world champion. And before the weeks before, he was already saying, I'm working towards Djon. I want to win Djon. And then you see here, there's a breakaway. But I was not in there, so I thought, I have to close it. I have to be there because I'm only with bad guys and all the good guys are gone. So I closed it. Maybe 1 or 2 guys came with me, and when I arrived in the breakaway in the leading group, Scott was really yelling at me that I closed the gap, and also Shane, he was really not happy. And for me, I thought we're in a good position. Me and Shane were gone, and we still have a big shot. And eventually, Shane got away from that leading group, and I won the sprint of the peloton. So yeah, it was actually was not bad, but I remember a lot of that race. Yeah, it was a pretty special one.
I will try to find the sprint. Yeah, I think that's it. That's Shane sprinting.
Yeah,
I think
really
Felix
strong.
got third. No, I think Felix got third.
I was somewhere up there. Obviously, rain was always quite good for me, and Djon always liked the racing. Oh yeah,
You got third.
Like little raise of the hands. I mean, back then to be up there with
here's the result.
guys was awesome for me, and I think Bart and me we were both learning those tactics back then. We talked about it the other day. What big of an influence like Yann, Pascal, Shane, and Scott.
For me, it was Shane.
Yes. Also had on us, and they just they had to be sometimes really tough on us when we did a mistake, but that also helped us to get as good as we are now. And to learn from the more experienced guys was definitely super important for us.
Yeah, I learned a lot from Shane, and that year, of course, that race I was pretty scared because I heard the yelling. But afterwards, we really had also a really good talk about it. Like he explained to me why he was feeling that way, and I was explaining why I thought it was a better decision. And eventually, everything turned out, so we were really happy. But I also knew what I did was pretty risky, and that's what I learned also for the years afterwards. Like, okay, this kind of situation, something you have to avoid. Because if you're good enough to be in the leading group, you should be there from the start and not wait until taking some other guys to it. So that was a good learning moment for me.
And you're right. I mean, if you look at the result, you finish first and second in the race. So.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
but that was more because Shane was very strong, and he got away. He smoked everybody, and I think he just knew he was going to win.
Yeah. Okay, cool. It's almost 1 hour. We are here, guys. I think it's time to finish this. Thank you for joining this. Super nice to have you all together sharing some experience between different generations. Even you are still skating. Yann and me, we were like Yann a bit before, and me almost 20 years ago now. And, so I try to do live like this. Maybe I will do it with some girls quite soon. I need to organize this. That would be also super nice. And also maybe with some South American skater, maybe with Munoz or Kozid, or I don't know, some other skater could be cool. And thank you. I really appreciate you come here. I think we will end up this meeting now, and I hope I can see you in some training or around the track sooner or later, or Yann also around the track. Last time we met was around the track, actually. So,
who knows?
So we will drink some coffee at least. Okay, Thank you guys. Have a good day, and see you
too.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks everybody.
Bye.
Ciao.
Have a good weekend.